Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Today we are going to be doing my yearly stats, my yearly reading stats for 2021. This is the first time that I'm ever doing this video, so bear with me. But I recently signed up for Story Graph because I liked all the little like graphs and stuff that you get as you read your books, and I am also a member of Goodreads, as you all know, because I talk about it all the time. So I'm going to be using graphs from Goodreads and also graphs from Story Graph, just so I can, like, you know, show you everything that I read. I've also made a few graphics of my own for the books that I read in each month. So yeah, I'm super excited about this video. I hope that you enjoy it. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first little stat, and I have my notebook here, first little stat that I have is that I read 101 books, which equals out to about 30,000 pages, and I think that's pretty good. Like, I think that's pretty good, especially since some of my months were very, very low this year because I had a really bad reading slump, and you'll see that later. But 95% of the books that I read were fiction, which all of you know because I like to read fiction, and 5% of those books were nonfiction, which is pretty normal for me because I don't typically read nonfiction for enjoyment. I want to read fake things, so. The shortest book that I read was Nothing But Blackened Teeth, which was at 128 pages. The longest book that I read was Pretty Girls, which sat at 688 pages, which was a big book. And I have that right here. Oh, I also have a lot of other stuff on the bookshelf right now. So Pretty Girls. I thought that Pretty Girls was a very, very good book, and you will see it later on in another video that I have coming up soon. But the most popular book that I read is The Stranger, and it has over 1 million people that have either read it or that have it on their shelf, which that book was published in 1942. So that's it. And then and then the least popular book, this book hasn't even come out yet, but it's called The Teaching, and you would have seen it in my latest video. If you haven't watched that video yet, I'll link it in the cards or link it down below or wherever I'm going to link it. But it only has 20 people that have had it on the bookshelf, but I believe that book is either being published in March or May, so it's still really new. It's on NetGalley right now. That's how I read it. But yeah, so those are the two books. The average length of pages that I read for each book is 306, and then the average rating that I have this year is a 4.0 star, or 4-star. So that tells me right there that I enjoyed most of the books that I've read. I'm at that point in my life where I have been able to kind of gauge if I'm going to like a book. Like, I can pick a book up off the shelf and say, ooh, I probably like that book, or no, I'm not going to like that book at all. Like I said, I normally read just for enjoyment purposes. I don't read books that I know that I'm not going to enjoy most of the time unless it's for like a challenge or something, but half the time I don't even finish those. So I think my rating of a 4.0 is pretty decent because I had more 4-star books than anything over the year. So for me, I think a 4-star is pretty good for the entire year. Then the next thing is the page lengths. So I said that I read an average length of 306 pages, but 34% of the books that I read this year were under 300 pages. 64% of the books that I read were between 300 to 499 pages, and then 2% of those books were over 500 pages, being that this was the longest book that I read, which is sitting at 688. So there's that. And then the next thing is I'm going to talk about the pace of the books. This is probably not going to be a surprise to anyone because it wasn't a surprise to me, because I know that I don't like slow-paced books, which were at 19%, and then 35% of the books that I read were at medium speed, which is normal, and then my highest was 46%, which is at the fastest speed. So fast-paced books were my highest. I love fast-paced books. I don't like slow-paced books whatsoever. Like, that's one reason why I didn't really like The Stranger all that much, is because it was super slow paced. I like very fast-paced books. I like getting to the nitty-gritty and just going on. And then the next stat that I wanted to talk about was the type of format that I read. I don't know if this is very accurate because some of the books, and I think it says it at the bottom of the little graphic thing that I'm going to put up, 14 of the books that I read didn't have a format. And it does, I know that I read more physical books than anything, but I know that I read more audiobooks than it says that I did. But anyways, we're going to put up the graphic. So 76% of the books that I read were in print, which makes sense. 21% were digital, and then 3% were audio, which is, that's the one that I'm kind of like, because I did read more audiobooks than 3%, I believe. The next stat that I'm going to talk about is the line graph of books. And this is where you get to see my best reading months, which my best reading months were January, April, October, and December. And I'm using this, like these 4 months, as my best because this is where I read the most books plus the page numbers. You'll see in February I have a lot of books that I read, but a lot of them were shorter books. My worst months were May through September. That was, y'all, that was one of the longest reading slumps that I've ever been in my life. And most of the books that I read that month I did not like whatsoever. So, or in those months. And that's where my reading just kind of went meow, but then it picked back up in October. So there's that. Then the next graphic is going to be the bar graph, which is the genres that I read. I'm not going to go through all the genres because you can see it on the screen, but my top 5 were thriller, romance, mystery, contemporary, and horror. It should not be a surprise to anyone. It wasn't a surprise to me. I do like the story graph bar, or I do like this graph though, because it breaks it down into individual. And a lot of times when you look at books, it'll have like 3 to 6 genres that the book is actually in, and I like that they broke it down because you can click on the little bar graph. You can see which books are considered in that specific category. So some of the books that are in it are also in other categories, but yeah, so those were my top 5: thriller, romance, mystery, contemporary, and horror. Now we're getting into the actual like book part of this. This is where I made my own little graphs, which I'm pretty proud of because it took me forever to make them. But January I read a total of 15 books, and in January I had 7 5-star books, 5 4-star books, and 3 3-star books, which is pretty good. I had a pretty good reading month in January. And yeah, and then February I read a total of 11 books, and out of those 11 books I had 5 5-stars, 4 4-stars, and 2 3-stars. March I read a total of 7 books, and I had 5 4-stars, 1 3-star, and 1 2-star. So that wasn't really a good reading month for me. April I read a total of 11 books. 1 of those was a 5-star, 7 of those were 4-stars, 3 of those were 3-stars. So pretty decent reading month there. May I read a total of 4 books. This is where you see my reading go downhill real fast. May I read a total of 4 books. 2 of those books were 4-stars, and 2 of those books were 3-stars. Then in June I read 7 books. 4 of those books were 5-stars, 1 was a 4-star, and 2 were 2-stars. July I read a total of 4 books, which 1 was a 5-star, 2 were 4-stars, and then 1 was a 3-star. August I only read 2 books, but I found one of my favorite books in this month. 1 was a 5-star and 1 was a 4-star. And then in September I read a total of 5 books. 1 was a 5-star, 2 were 4-stars, and 2 were 3-stars. So September wasn't that bad of a month, even though I didn't read that many. And then October is where I picked back up again. October I read a total of 10 books, and 3 of those were 5-stars, 6 were 4-stars. So I read some pretty good books, and then 1 was a 3-star. In November I read a total of 11 books, which 2 were 5-stars, 5 were 4-stars, and then 4 were 3-stars. So November was a little lower reading month. And then in December I read a total of 14 books. This is where I picked up. I pushed myself to reach my reading goal. And like I said in my previous video, the amount of books that you read each year doesn't really matter. It's just one of those goals to me that I like to set for myself, because I know that I can actually reach that specific goal. But anyways, 14 books in December. 5 were 5 stars, 5 were 4 stars, 2 were 3 stars, and then 2 were 2 stars. So I didn't have any 1-star books this year. I typically, if it's that bad of a book, I will just DNF it, and I don't rate DNF books. I don't think that's right to DNF or to rate DNF books, because you don't actually read the entire book. So when I see people say DNF, 1 star, hated this book, I don't understand, because you didn't read the entire thing, you know. And I think that does a disjustice to the actual author themselves when you DNF a book and then rate it a 1 star. I don't like that. It's just my opinion, though. That's like probably one of those opinions that other people have that they don't agree with me, but whatever. We can agree to disagree on that. But typically, I don't read books to rate them a 1 star. If I rated a 2 star, I can fill out the book enough to where I can like pick something out that I actually appreciate about it, you know, because it takes forever to write a book and people put their heart and soul in the books, and then when you rate it a 1 star and you don't even read all of it, irritates me. But that's not what this video is about. But I wanted to put up a chart that shows you all the books by their star ratings. And this is from Goodreads. So here is that chart. It just shows you where I put all the books as I rated them this year. I think that this chart looks pretty freaking awesome, and you can see where that 4-star rating actually really comes in, because I had more 4 stars than anything this year. Then we're going to talk about the oldest book, which I already talked about. But the oldest book that I read was The Stranger, which was published in 1942. And this is one of those books that, like I said in my previous video, I didn't enjoy it, and I ended up giving it 2 stars. But that was just because I didn't enjoy the book. But I can appreciate the book for what it is. And like I said in my previous video, if I would have studied this book in my literature classes, I think that I would have really enjoyed this book based on like an analytical standpoint. But when I read books, this is why I don't usually read classics, and this is considered a classic now, obviously. I don't read classics all that much because I can't connect with the characters, and if I can't connect with a character, I don't typically like the book. I'm more of a character-driven person than I am a plot-driven person, and I did not like this main character at all. But yeah, so that is the oldest book that I read. I wanted to put in here also at the very end of this video, because that's all the stats that I'm going to talk about. This video went a lot faster than I thought it was going to, but that's a good thing. But the end mentions of this video, I have a lot of stuff planned. I know last year I did not do well with keeping up with reading, obviously. And I kind of slipped on videos, but I have a lot of stuff planned. One of those is tier ranking every single book that I read in 2021, which I'm super excited about. It took me a while to make the tier ranking thing, but I'm really excited for you to see that. And that's the next video that you're going to see on my channel. It's going to be coming out on the 8th. This is coming out on the 5th. But yeah, so I hope that you stay around for that, because I'm really excited about that. I'm also going to be doing my top 15 best books of 2021, which is going to come out after my tier ranking video. So you can kind of see, you already saw that chart, the Goodreads chart, where I put everything, but I want you to try to guess. Put down in the comments, what do you think my top favorite book was this year? What do you think? And then I also have a book coming up that I want to do for my most anticipated books for 2020. And I have a birthday video coming up, because if you didn't know, my birthday is January 28th. And I did a 30 facts video last year, which I'll link above. But I also am into some astrology, and I want to do a different birthday video this year because I will be turning 31. Woo! 31. I made it to 31. Who could have guessed? But anyways, this is the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments down below some of your stats for this past year, 2021. I'm filming this on New Year's Eve. So happy New Year. I hope that you had a great New Year. And don't be too hard on yourself, because I know that these past couple years have been crazy. And yeah, so just let me know down below some of your stats, like I already said before, because I repeat myself, obviously. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.